Living Adaptive.
The goal is to adapt and thrive despite the adversity you face.
You're going to have that little voice inside of you trying to push yourself.
I set a vision for myself, and now I'm seeing it come to fruition.
I'm grateful for losing my leg.
There's just some things you must endure in life.
You might crash.
You can find a purpose in your suffering.
I'm not going to stop.
You do everything you possibly can.
We want to change the world.
I'm going to adapt to it and make it the way it works for me.
Take what it is from life that you want and enjoy it.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is Living Adaptive, and this is Scott Davidson. We got some awesome guests on. We have a nonprofit that does a lot of excellent work, and I don't partner up very easy. A lot of us don't, but this one's an easy one to partner with. And we want to talk a lot about what's going on with this group. And we got David Krupa and Laura Panasewicz with us on too. So LP, as she goes by, David Krupa. David Krupa is one of the squad in terms of the adaptive side. He's congenital. Team Congenital has been showing up all day. We've had, the last 8 people were congenital, in some capacity. So it's pretty good. And he's also part of my generation. So that makes him better than you. On a serious note though, 26, man. 26, we're doing a lot of excellent stuff on the 26. We got the Range of Motion project, and the whole crew is going out for an important reason. LP, what's going on the 26th?
Yeah, so July 26th is actually the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act signing. And so we're doing a call to action, and our hashtag is WESTILLCLIMB, because 30 years ago, there was a protest called the Capitol Crawl, where people actually got out of their wheelchairs and crawled up the Capitol steps in protest for disability rights. And 3 decades later, there's still a lot of work to be done, but there's also a lot of things to honor and celebrate on that day. And so ROMP, for the last 6 years, has done an event called Climbing for ROMP to bring awareness to the ADA and a call for action that more work needs to be done. There needs to be fair access for prosthetic care, not only in the US, but globally. And we're asking everyone on that day to just dedicate your mobility that day to the Range of Motion Project and disability rights. So kind of no matter what you do, we use climb as like our metaphor, but you can do whatever you want. So get outside, go for a walk, go for a run, go for a hike, go for a bike, and just kind of reflect on what mobility means and how important fair access to prosthetic care and other disability services really is.
David, before I jump to you, David Krupa is the founder of Range of Motion Project. And before we jump to him, I want to say why this is important to me, why I brought this group on, why we're talking about this. Because Range of Motion Project is something that I started to partner with roughly about 3-4 months ago. Right when COVID was going down, we partnered up. I got selected to be part of the Range of Motion Project elite climbing team, which is really important to me. And the reason why I joined up was because of the whole idea of mobility. Mobility is something that's so important to me. I accept the idea that I will be in a wheelchair one day. I'm okay with that. I accept that things do change. There's nothing wrong with being in a wheelchair. There's nothing wrong with mobility shifting. It's just something that's natural. But while I have this level of mobility, I like to challenge myself. And I also like to show that it's valuable to me. When I announced that I was going to climb for the Range of Motion Project team, I had a lot of children, a lot of parents of the children that are born like me wondering, can he do this? Can he do something like this? But then second, community. You guys make it so we are part of a community, whether you're a caregiver, whether you're somebody that's just wanting to support a good cause, which is a lot of people on that elite climbing team. They don't have disabilities, physical disabilities, but they want to be part of a good cause. This whole movement is welcome to everybody to jump in and be part of something bigger, be part of something more, because each time we climb, each time we fundraise, a kid gets a goddamn leg. And that's the truth. A kid gets a goddamn prosthetic leg. And this is super important to me, that we bring this type of movement to others. This is beyond anything we do. We can talk about another athlete going out, running a marathon or doing something like this. Now we're bringing healthcare equality to other people. And this is why it's so important to me. David, hop in. Why'd you start Range of Motion Project?
Oh, man. Well, Scott, we just discovered that you and I both were born under the sign of Gemini in 1980. I think something in the universe must have been happening right then to stimulate our little embryos and maybe give us some sort of drive to, as you say, push the envelope. You use that phrase, and you said that when you signed up for the elite team, that a lot of people reached out to you and said, like, will Scott be able to do this? Is this even possible? Pushing the envelope for me personally is why I started Range of Motion Project. So I was also born with a congenital birth defect in my left leg, which when I was about a year and a half old led to an amputation. And I've been using a prosthesis since about 2 years of age. And growing up within a medical system that gave me access to prosthetic care, I never really thought about the access to prosthetic care as an issue. I did my thing. Every 6 months went for my follow-up. I dealt with a lot of things growing up, a lot of different challenges. I dealt with some exclusion and some, I think the things that every kid growing up is going to deal with. But having a disability, I think, that had its own set of trials and tribulations. But thinking about access to prosthetic care was never one of those things that crossed my mind. I never thought, maybe I won't have a prosthesis next month. So I grew up using a prosthesis and then was drawn to the field. I love working with my hands. I'm actually in a prosthetic facility right now, which is why I have this suit on. Although normally maybe going to a podcast, I should wear this suit as well to just avoid viral transmission.
It's a beautiful suit.
Yeah, it's full on Tyvek or whatever this is. Anyways, so I was drawn to the field of prosthetics and decided to become a prosthetist for a variety of reasons. I love working with my hands. I love the tinkering lab aspect of it. But really early on in my career, I learned about the global lack of access to prosthetic care. 9 out of 10 people living with limb loss do not have access to prosthetic devices and all the other rehabilitation services that they need to just be themselves. And when I learned about that, I just thought, that is the challenge. That right there, as far as pushing the envelope of all the things that I did growing up, the bike rides, the hikes, the physical challenges that I took on in order to prove to myself that I was capable of something, because I grew up doing that. That was like part of my DNA. But then when I came across this problem, I thought, that is an envelope worth pushing. Like, that challenge is so massive, is so absurd, is so unnecessary and solvable. That's the thing I want to dedicate my life to. And so back in 2005, some colleagues, friends of mine, and we started Range of Motion Project, ROMP. And 15 years later, here we are, working throughout the Americas to break that system that is propagating lack of access to mobility, which you just talked so beautifully about. It's meaning to you. I mean, mobility, I think for all of us nowadays, having our mobility restricted, being in lockdown, being unable to leave our homes because of pandemic, who right now is not somehow keenly aware of the value of their mobility? And the fact that there are so many people living with limb loss who do not have free access to it is a real shame. Our communities are just missing out on these beautiful men and women and kids, and who cannot fully participate in the way that they potentially are dreaming that they should.
David Krupa is very humble. He posts once every decade on social media. So about his stuff. He's a very humble guy. Okay, so like if you've been watching this show while listening, the last 2 3/4 years has just been audio only. But if you've been listening or over the years prior to that, I've interviewed or worked with a ton of people, a ton of organizations. I mean, countless organizations in the adaptive disability world. This one is the most unique that I've encountered because David's sitting right now in Quito, Ecuador, and he's out there actually working on a clinic hands-on with patients that need access to equal health care. This is something so unique, so different than what we have, because we have, and I'm not talking down or putting down, we have a lot of sports organizations. We have a ton of gyms. We have all kinds of discussion about that. Some of these gyms have 100,000 followers on Instagram, whereas we got real hands-on healthcare equality going on where kids are getting prosthetic legs. Adults are getting prosthetic legs, and it's so different, so absolutely different, so almost bold that I've never seen anything like this. And that's what makes Range of Motion Project so unique to me and so beautiful. And anybody listening, I'm not paid to be part of Range of Motion Project. In fact, I'm paying. In fact, I'm fundraising, and I'll put the link in my page. I am not paid to do this. In fact, I'll be selling these hats. We can start ordering them July 20th. But the point is that we're fundraising for this whole cause. And not only were we fundraising, but we're going to be climbing July 26th. And I want to see everybody there talking about it. LP, you've been a part of Range of Motion Project for a long time. I mean, you make award-winning movies. You guys do so many amazing things. I mean, In Her Shoes was one of the best adaptive disability movies I've seen in a long time. It's really well done. It really impacts me. It talks about mobility. And then we see two people eventually summit 20,000 feet up in Quito, Ecuador, Cotopaxi, which I hope I get to do sometime, when that's available. And so it's an amazing thing. LP, you've had a ton of memories. What is one thing that sticks out to you, a memory or something that really impacted you?
Been going down to Guatemala for about 5 years, just working in our clinic and stuff down there. So, a lot of my memories are from the clinic and with these patients and everything. And just this last October, I was there, and there was this little kid, Jonathan. I think he was like 3 or 4, maybe. And he was just like, just a kid. He just wanted to play and run around, and we got him in his first prosthetic leg ever. And he was just off and running in the first 30 minutes of getting fit with this leg. And then as him and his mom were leaving a few days later, she just started crying because it was the first time in his life that she didn't have to carry him. And it was like this moment of realizing that like she's been like carrying this 4-year-old every day, everywhere they go. And all of a sudden he's walking on his own. And she was just like, oh my gosh, like he's now independent. And like, I think it was all of those emotions, like from the last few days and the last 4 years coming out and realizing like what this was going to do for their family. And so that I just love this little kid, and I like can't wait to see him again because he'll need a new leg soon. And yeah, just he was awesome. And then going into like climbing for ROMP, I mean, the biggest moment in my mind was just watching Estefania this year with In Her Shoes. I won't give away what happened in case people want to watch it. And then also Kathy Pico, our amazing patient from Ecuador who attempted our elite climb above 19,000 feet for 4 years in a row and finally summited in 2018 with us. And I think watching her reach that summit, yeah, I mean, you couldn't be up there and not be crying because she is like the epitome of just like just trial and not giving up. I mean, she's been through so much. And then 10 days later, her and Dave ran the Chicago Marathon, which is just incredible in itself.
Love that. Why not a 5K, guys? Why not a 5K? Why not a walk? Why not a...
We started with the like 8 years prior is when Kathy Pico started, and it was a 5K run that she made a walk, and I walked alongside of her with some other friends that were in town, and that's how she started. It was a 5K walk, and to watch her cross that finish line and to summit Cotopaxi with her, that was awesome.
She's definitely the poster child for ROMP. I mean, the fact that we could give her, a walking leg and then a running leg and then a mountaineering, leg or whatever that looks like. And then, she has access to these things, and then she's doing these amazing things that she never thought that she could do.
Who proposed, like who was sitting in the meeting and proposed like, hey, I got an idea, let's go 20,000 feet up? Whose call was that? You?
Dave. No.
Okay. Wow. Why?
Well, first of all, I live in Ecuador. I live in Quito. I live at about 9,000 feet above sea level, surrounded by beautiful mountains, the Andes of Ecuador, the Central Valley here. Everywhere you look, there's another volcano. And 3 of them within eyesight are covered with glaciers and snow. And they're amazing. I grew up in Chicago, straight up Midwestern boy, nothing but flat land there. I dreamt of mountains growing up. I remember going to the library and like pulling all the books on mountaineering and reading all these stories about survival and sleeping overnight on the summit of Everest and being trapped and all the, I just, that for some reason, mountaineering always called me. And when I finally moved to Central and South America, so first in Guatemala and then down into here, all of a sudden being surrounded by mountains, surrounded this awesome topography, beautiful, lush green, you know, it's just like adventure. You know, it's just calling you all the time, just saying, get out, go explore, go hike around. And so, I was back in 2015. I also have had the pleasure and the opportunity to work with some, specifically with one Ecuadorian amputee, this guy Santiago Quintero, who is one of the best climbers in the world. And if you're talking about underrated, underappreciated, this guy, like, nobody knows his story. He's a bilateral amputee. Both of his feet are amputated kind of right through the half of his feet. And he's summited Everest without supplemental oxygen, and
I know him.
Done
He's
all sorts
amazing.
of crazy climbs. See, there you go. I mean, like,
Yep.
So I've had the pleasure of working with him and making his prostheses for a while. And so back in 2015, this opportunity came up, and we said, you know what, like, let's call attention to our work, and let's open up the outdoors to people and encourage people to come climb with us. And we're definitely a community of individuals who love to never settle and just question our capabilities. And so we work with a lot of patients that are just like that. And we said, you know what, let's see who's crazy enough, who's got a screw loose, that wants to step up for this challenge. And sure enough, we built a team pretty quickly, and a bunch of awesome companies came around it. And that's how the idea of, like, well, let's pick one of these mountains that we can see here, and let's say that's our final goal. You know, can you do it? For many people who had never even gone out for just like a normal day hike, for them to sign up and say, yeah, I'll give that a shot. Love it. I mean, absolutely embrace that in all corners of my life, but in what we do it's all about that. What ROMP is all about is about challenging and helping people unlock some piece of them or some aspect of their life that is way beyond what they ever thought possible. And we do that within systems too, and say, look, this health system could be way different. You know, the health system here in Ecuador could be fitting amputees with microprocessor knees and running feet and carbon fiber prosthetic technology. And the health system in Guatemala could be doing the most cutting edge community-based rehabilitation, where we're helping people start businesses and get back to work and deal with their mental health problems and overcome them. Why not? Like, it's no different. If we do that with individuals, and if thousands of our patients have taught us over the years, and our people like you have said, yeah, I've never taken no for an answer, then why should we as an organization? So we really embrace that. And that's what pointing at a 20,000 foot peak was all about, and saying, hey, who wants to come join us? We can show the world the power of technology, the power of mobility, the power of appropriate community teamwork, to get to the top of this summit.
Okay, so how'd you end up in Ecuador? That's one question that I kind of get a little idea, but how'd you end up down there?
There is like this very special gravitational force that I personally am in tune with when it comes to Ecuador. Ecuador has always called me. Something about this region has always called me. I remember when I was a little kid, like, drawing this map of South America, and for some reason, like, the Andes. One of my best friends growing up is from Peru. So that was always on my radar. I wanted to go visit it. The first time I came to Ecuador was, I think, 2004, as a volunteer with this other organization. It was right when ROMP was in its infancy, right before we got started officially. And the first time I got off the plane here, and I just like looked around, I'm like, man, this place is amazing. And so, yeah, my heart was always drawn here to Ecuador, and to the work in that we do in Central America as well. Just kind of both places have called me. And then it was, the moment we started doing work with ROMP, set up clinical stuff, and I worked with my first patients, that's when I realized, like, I can't like take on a patient and start working with them and form a connection with them and do something to help them and then just disappear, ghost on them. I mean, like, what is that? So it was really the very meaningful, close human relationships that I started to build in both Guatemala and Ecuador early on that facilitated my departure from the States back in 2006. And I said, you know what, this needs to be a permanently run operation. I need to be in the trenches. We have not only patients, but we also have great colleagues and other, local prosthetists who want to also step up their game. And I felt just like that's the most responsible thing to do, is to just get in it and do it where we're operating. And that's how we've, over the years, built up not only community in the States, but real meaningful and big and energized community in Guatemala and in Ecuador.
Okay, so we have a team. This elite team is really unique. We have this team that's out there. You have this guy training like as a guide that like runs the mountain in like 2 hours. He's like definitely psychotic a little bit, probably. I don't know. He's definitely one of the most athletic humans I've ever heard of. And I say that as a compliment. Like, this is one of the coolest teams I've seen surrounding an event. How'd you guys organize so many impactful and talented people into a group? And it seems like you do it each year.
Yeah, I think there are two pieces. One is, I'm going to let LP talk about the second piece. The first piece is that I think we've been able to bring people together around our work because we're legit. We don't stop what we do. We do it every single day of every single year for the last 15 years. We've built up that credibility. We've earned that through hard work. And through that hard work, others have seen what we do and they said, I connect with that. Those people are working from the heart. They're doing that with the right intention. They're doing it responsibly in a sustainable way. I want to be a part of that. And I can be a part of it because they're here and they're not just like showing up every now and then in my country. Like, that guy, Carl, is a friend, and I've known him for years just from another climb I did. He was Amazing. One of my guys. But then from there, it's really the work that LP does. LP has taken the idea of climbing for ROMP that was born in 2015 and has turned it into so much more of a social movement. And part of that is her work as a leader and as a builder of teams, to just get out, get to know people, and to hand pick the right elements and the right individuals to be a part of something. So LP, I don't want to. That's what you do, and you do it amazingly. I mean, you bring that team together. How do you do that?
Thanks, Dave. Those were very nice words. Starting back in like 2016 when I kind of took over the elite team and everything, it was, definitely just like outreach, invite only kind of stuff. We had some people join that I never thought would like want to, and then kind of as the years went on and we were creating these amazing films, and then the feedback was awesome, and then these people were kind of like the magic of ROMP, is that once someone is in our inner circle, they bring their circle in, and then that just is exponential. Really how we've grown this amazing community worldwide. So, as these elite teams were coming, we had repeats every year. We had people that like did not want to miss out no matter what. So they're fundraising every year. And then, we have people that, do it one year and know that like it's a one-time thing for them, but then they're bringing in their like 5 best friends, either in the adaptive world or not. And so 2020 was the first year that we actually opened up the application to anyone. And I was blown away by who, like the types of people that applied, and then just like watching kind of once you're a part of that and you're in there, just how dedicated people are. And our team this year is very diverse, as you know, Scott, in terms of just the range of disabilities. Usually we have able-bodied people and amputees. And this year we have spinal cord injury recoveries, congenital limb deficiencies. I mean, all of these things. And then, just kind of, I always look at like the age range and the male versus female and adaptive versus non-adaptive, and kind of try to balance all of those out so that we have like a really, kind of balanced but diverse and always passionate team.
Look, amputees are super cool, and I'm a hair amputee, but like, I love the diversity of this team. I love the idea that we've got a spinal cord injury going up. I love that we have limb differences going up. This is what it's all about. Like July 26th, we're all going together. Whether you are limb different, whether you have nothing, or you're a caregiver, or you're just somebody that's really interested, like my coaches and people around me here in Vegas, we're going up and we're going to climb, walk, crawl, yell, whatever you do, whatever your athletic endeavor is. We're going to do that together on July 26th, and anybody can be part of this. And we want this community to keep growing because there's a lot of things to be part of. There's been a lot of negativity in the last few months. And like, this is something to be, uplift and make a difference. Because if I remember right, if you could just say real quick, the threshold of like some of the funds we raise, what it takes to get a prosthetic leg, it doesn't take that much in other countries. This isn't the United States where it costs a tremendous amount of money to get somebody moving. Like, how much does it cost to get a prosthetic leg for a person there in Quito?
What ROMP does, we can provide prosthetic care on average for about $1,300 to $1,500 per patient. And we do that through a variety of ways. One of the most important things that we run in the US is called our Components for a Cause recycled prosthetic program. We operate what we believe to be the largest network of prosthetic recycling in the US. So every week, just hundreds of pounds of stuff are coming into our warehouse in Denver, and people can easily just reach out to us, and we'll get a shipping label to you, and we cover the cost of shipping, and then we can get those really valuable parts and pieces on prosthetic legs, which make up a huge amount of the cost of providing prostheses. And then we redistribute that to where it's needed. So we send it to Guatemala, we send it to Ecuador, we send it to our partners in the States. We have a program in the States for also helping people access prosthetic care, folks who are outside of the health system. And then just through amazing partnerships, I mean, we've built up and trained prosthetists on the ground and helped to support the professional development of prosthetists in places like Guatemala and Ecuador. And these are people who, just as much as we do, want to volunteer a significant amount of their time to provide just really quality care. So as long as we have the stuff, we're able to get that to the hands of the people that need it and that can do the work. So yeah, I mean, to change someone's life with quality prosthetic device for $1,300, it's you really can't. I mean, to put a price tag on something as valuable as mobility, and to have it that accessible for someone to sponsor or donate to someone else's revitalization is it's always been one of the sources of ROMP success for 15 years. It's a really tangible transaction. You can see literally within moments, as LP mentioned, this kid, Jonathan, 30 minutes, and he's like running around in a prosthesis, first time ever in his life. I mean, it's so visible, it's so tangible. And then to know that that service we're providing year round, that we're providing all the follow-up, that we're providing the guidance to help people access physical therapy and everything else that they need in order to become kind of as full of a human being as possible. Yeah, we pride ourselves on that. We're super efficient, very, 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 very scrappy organization, and we just don't take no for an answer.
If I was not born in the United States of America, if I was born in, say, I don't know, whatever country, in maybe Ecuador or something, I perhaps could have been that patient. I'm deformed. Like, without the right care, I'm deformed. I'm dragging myself on the ground, or I'm walking on the side of my legs at best. Without the right care, which people have discovered outside of the surgeries I've had, is $17 a brace, maybe like between 10 to 12 of them, in the right hands with the right equipment. I'm running miles now. I'm running 7-minute miles right now. Although it hurts, without the right care, I am crippled. I am the person that can't move anymore. And this is why it's so important to me, because so many kids that are born like me, were the most common birth defect, one of the most common limb different birth defects ever, are dragging their bodies as adults now on the ground, unable to walk, unable to do things. They need a chair, and they don't even have access to a wheelchair. And maybe it's too late for the surgeries, and amputation is the only option. That's why this is so important to me. This is why it's so important to me. I was one step away. The lottery hit right for me. I'm grateful for what I have. I was able to be born in a place where I could get care, albeit archaic. It's changed a lot since then, but I'm very grateful for what I have. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing, because there is a kid born like me that will come into your clinic at some point and need some sort of support. So I have so much gratitude, personal gratitude for what is there. I have so much personal gratitude for the mission. And we're going to go out there on July 26th. We're going to crush it. LP, what do you got to say to end this thing?
Man, everything you just said was so perfect, because I think about ROMP and I think about how we don't believe in disability. We really just we don't believe in broken bodies. We believe in broken healthcare systems. And when you have access to the right technology and, the right attitude and the right community, there's really nothing that can stop you. So Dave mentioned earlier, that is our challenge, is this global access to prosthetic care. That's our Everest as an organization. And I just hope that everyone can look inside and find their own mountain to climb, whether that's metaphorical or physical or whatever that might be, and then sign up on the Living Adaptive team or make your own team or whatever. It's all free. We're just trying to bring people together and make a stand for disability rights.
There are 3 hashtags that we're using in this campaign. First one is, what's your mountain? I think just ask that. What is your mountain, kind of personally? We all have them. We all have lots of them probably. And now maybe even more, some weird ones that we never expected, right? That's why we climb. We just like to ask, what's our mountain, and keep going after it. And we still climb is our other hashtag, because we're inspired by, as LP said, these advocates, these disability rights warriors who 30 years ago dragged themselves up the Capitol stairs in DC to say, we need legislation to protect disability rights, to open access to things like government and public spaces and employment and transportation. And they did. But like she said, LP, 30 years later, we still climb, because there's still so much work to be done. And so what do? We're climbing for ROMP. I mean, that's our 3rd hashtag. And so on July 26th, just be a part of it. Come join us, have fun, share your photos, tag everything. We want to make this event as accessible as possible. Like you mentioned, it's free. Obviously, some of the pathways you might see, wait, what is this? I need to fundraise. If you want to help make your mobility transcend the event itself, you can certainly do that by fundraising for ROMP and convert some of your efforts into actual prosthetic care for people, but that's not a requirement. We just want people around the world. I think, how many countries are already signed up? We've got people in 7 or 8 countries, I think 30 states. We just want to cover the globe and give people a voice and a platform to say, the world can be something better than it is. And we believe that. We all are a little crazy maybe to believe that, but we're going to keep pushing that forward. So come join us July 26th, 2020.
And when July 26th is over, that doesn't mean the mission's over. We're still going. We're going to still climb. We're going to keep moving. And to go further is that you're not alone. I say this a lot to people. You're not alone. When you come out with us, you're going to be with us. You have a team. I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for sponsorships. I'm just letting you know that you're important and that you're meant to be here. You're meant to be part of something. This is one of the opportunities that I thought was something I could present to everybody listening or watching now. That is great. And you're going to be part of this community. I appreciate everybody for being here. This is an amazing accomplishment that you guys put together, this range of motion project. To sit there in Ecuador, to be talking to you right now, David, in Ecuador, LP, you're up in Colorado. And like to be sitting here talking to you, I have so much gratitude. You know, I'm so thankful for all you guys have put together. And at some point, I can't wait to be up on Cotopaxi with you guys. I really appreciate everything. Thank you guys.
Heck yeah.
Remember, go to livingadaptive.com to find previous episodes, show notes, contacts for guests like this guest, links to social media accounts, and a bunch of other good stuff. So go there. Peace.